me close out the chat. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much. I know for some of you, this is lunch. If you're in the UK, this is probably after work. So thank you for spending some of your day with us to kick off this Elevation series. I'm so, so excited to have Dior. And I was very intentional about starting the series with Dior because I think before you can elevate health, finances, your professional life, you have to really work on your mindset, your life. So I really wanted to kick off the series with that before we get into any other area of our lives. And so I think I shared this in the AfroKlash newsletter for anyone that's subscribed. I worked with Dior last year as my life coach, and I think that's probably the highest engaged newsletter I've ever sent out. It really, really transformed my life working with her and having a life coach and having that support. So really wanted to have her to kick this off and share her journey, answer any questions you all have about coaching. So just as a quick intro, my name is Basala Olabisi. I am the founder of AfroKlash. And so I'm going to let Dior do a quick intro and then we'll get into sharing some of her journey and then we'll answer some of your questions. If you already have a question for Dior, you can go ahead and put it into the Q&A and then we'll pick it up as we go through the conversation. So Dior, you want to say hi?
Yeah, I look like a ghost. Sorry, guys, I'm under the worst light right now. So
Beautiful.
but we'll make it work. I'll probably put my flash on my phone. Let's see if that helps. Hi, I'm Dior Bediako. I am a life coach. I'm the founder, that's even worse. I'm the founder of Pepper Your Talk, which is a self-growth school, which basically means that I help you in 3 ways. So you design the life of your dreams, you own it out loud, and you build it action by action. So I do that with my group, which is an accountability group that I run, which incorporates coaching, and then with my one-to-one coaching clients. Predominantly, I work with entrepreneurs, but I can work with anyone. It just depends on what your aspirations are and if we align. I know I can help you, and if you want me to help you. But to put it really simply, I just help you manage your mind, manage your life, get the results you want, and live a life that is completely aligned to you. Nobody else, just you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Dior. So like I said, the format of this, I'm going to ask Dior some questions. She's going to share her journey, how she became the founder of Pepper Your Talk, how she became a life coach, and then we'll get into some of your questions. So Dior, I kind of wanted to start off with asking you, because you always hear people say, you know, you really kind of already know who you're going to be from like 12 or 13. Those themes start popping up in your life, those things you start doing. So were there any themes or hobbies that kind of gave you an indication that this was going to be your career or your life track to be a coach?
Yes, I'm a big believer in that invisible string that's like tying everything together all the time. So from when I was really, really young, I think from like 6, I always said I wanted to be Naomi Campbell, like not her, I wanted to be her. And as I got older, I understood that that meant I wanted to just be a visible Black woman. Like I just wanted other people to see me like how I saw her, right? You turn on the TV or you open the magazine, you see her. And then there were other things that I did in my childhood, such as public speaking. Like I was on the debate team at school and loved it, and just learned how to actually debate an argument properly and construct an argument constructively. And I've always done public speaking, like when I was in college, which to you guys is, I think, the end of high school. So not university, but college, that like 2-year gap. I loved putting like ideas together, presenting those ideas more than I enjoyed like the practical stuff, because I was studying fashion. Like these making things, but my brain was really good at putting ideas together, and then my mouth is good at presenting those ideas. So I've always had just this ability to not be too scared of doing public speaking, put ideas. I love sharing what I learn as well. Like it's a big part of what I do with my clients. And in terms of coaching, I think I just love seeing people live a good life. And if I can be a part of that and support you in that, oh my God, I'm happy. So
that's incredible. And so something that you said, so even with seeing all these hobbies and kind of these themes, you started off in fashion. So why fashion, and how did that kind of come to be?
So with fashion, and I have no regrets with fashion, like I loved it so much, loved being a part of that industry. It was tied to that Naomi Campbell thing where it was the only thing that I really like had a continued interest in from when I was really young, and I had to see it through. So I was dabbling with, okay, do I want to be a designer? Do I want to be a stylist? All of that type of stuff. And then in college, actually, my teacher was like, oh, you're so good at like public speaking, and you should really put yourself forward in this sense, like more. And then people started, that switched from you're good at public speaking to like, you do really well in PR. I know what PR was. I didn't do my due diligence. I didn't research. I was just like, they said I'll be good at it. So I did, I just told myself, like, I'm going to be a PR girl. I'm going to work in fashion and be a PR girl. I kind of did all my projects in university to suit that kind of PR field. Got to graduation. Within 6 weeks, I think, I landed a job at Burberry, which was very rare. It was, like a lot of people, even a year after our degree, still didn't have jobs. So I recognized how blessed I was to have that opportunity. And very quickly into that opportunity, I realized that, oh, fashion is not for me. And I had way too soon. Like, I'd hit my goals. I didn't have a big enough goal to sustain me in trying to really climb the ladder in fashion. My goal was to be in fashion, and I did it within 6 weeks of graduating. So then okay, like, this industry is never going to allow me to use my best skills, which is like the public speaking, all of that type of stuff. So I was like, I'm going to start a company to help other people get into fashion so that I can use my skills, but I can also like be on the fashion side, but in a different way, because I love people and all of that type of stuff.
The best of all the worlds.
Like merged it together. And I loved how fashion sat on the fringes of so many other industries. So even if like I could be in fashion, but like put a toe in a different thing or a different, like even it kind of converged with so many things, which was exciting for me because I want to keep learning. I want to keep growing. And then over time, I think just how I set up my company, the target audience I went after, how I was running it just didn't make sense for the type of life I was trying to build. AKA it wasn't making enough money. So I realized that, you know, I am doing coaching already and I should really expand, leave this fashion niche behind, help anyone, and just call it coaching, for God's sake. That word. I was so scared to call myself. That's how we got here.
So that's incredible. And I think even what you just said around being scared to call yourself something, because I remember one of our first sessions, I would not call myself a founder. I would not call myself an entrepreneur. I just would not give myself that title. I would say, I'm not ready. I'm not that person. And you said you are that person if you start doing that thing. So how did you kind of get to that place where you could call yourself a coach and a founder of this business? Like, did you ever have to overcome those self-limiting beliefs of labeling yourself?
I had to overcome a lot of self-limiting. I had to overcome fear of judgment, because I always say coaching is so specific, but so ambiguous. So it's like calling yourself a life coach is such a specific, it's almost like you just hit a nail on the head. Like, I'm a life coach. But at the same time, what even is a life coach? Like, a lot of people understand what it is. So then it becomes this really big, obtuse, you know, thing as well. So I just felt like there's a really narrow lane and a huge gap. And this is too much for me. Like, this is too much. So I thought the first time I called myself a coach was in I'm on a committee for Soho House. And I thought that the first time I called myself a coach was in that meeting, one of the days where someone was like, oh, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm a life coach. Certainly stands out to me as one of the first moments I called myself a coach, because I was scared to say it, really scared. I wasn't qualified. You don't have to be qualified to be a coach. You don't have to train, but I did choose to train after that. But somewhere last year, I was looking through one of my diaries and I saw a note that I wrote in there. I can't remember the date, but it literally said, oh yeah, by the way, you're a coach now. I just decided one day that, you know what, moving forward, I'm a life coach. So although my brain is telling me it was that big scary moment where I had to put myself in front of people, my brain had actually previously decided, and I thought that helped me.
That's so powerful. And something I wanted to talk to you about, because I attended a webinar you did last year, I think, where you showed us your diary, and that was so vulnerable. And I appreciate you doing that, because you kind of showed us how, when you were trying to pivot from Pepper Your Talk as a fashion niche brand to coaching, and you kind of had to write down, like, this business isn't working. I feel horrible. so what was all of that about? Because I think sometimes we start a business or we have an idea and it doesn't go how we think, but we're so tied to this identity or fear of telling people it didn't work or starting over. So we just kind of hold on to that thing. So how did you get to that place where you didn't let it define it as a failure or make it seem like it was something that you just had to keep on with, where you accepted dropping it and kind of pivoting to something else?
So I'll start with why I shared it. And I
Yeah.
shared it because my identity as an individual is open. Like, I'm an open person. I love to share my journey to help other people realize that, like, you think your journey's so unique, it's not. We're all kind of going through the same thing. Calm down.
Yeah.
Like, life isn't attacking you. It's fine. We're suffering in the same way. But also that was a journey as well.
Yeah.
So I had originally said to myself, when I was going through, like, my business is failing, I'm making no money, I need to pivot. I had said to myself, when I overcome this, because I believe I will, I have to share it. So I made that decision ahead of time, which made it easier, which is why I'm like, keep a diary, which is why I keep track of my feelings and my moods and whatever's happening so that I can share it. Because I don't believe that things happen to us because we're a victim of life. I believe that, like, it's a moment that we can share to help other people learn from and grow. So I'm so big on that. And I've actually baked that into my business, and I share every milestone, everything that happens. Everyone's like, ready, like, Dior, what's next? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
It wasn't easy to share at all.
Imagine, yeah.
But it was actually harder to go through, So like, I've been part of it. Let me just talk about it. And it reminds you how far you've come. But I think your question was about, like, when did I make the decision that I was going to share it, or
how did you not sit in or just say, I'm throwing my hands up and I'm not even doing entrepreneur, I'm just going to go back to corporate? How did you allow yourself to go through it, live through it, and not let it defeat you, that you still keep going and pivot? Because I feel like most people will say, this is what's failure. Maybe this wasn't meant to be. I'm just going to go do something else. But you just didn't let it kind of defeat you. So how did you get into that mindset to kind of keep going?
So also journey. I feel like, guys, whenever I start speaking, sometimes the whole 1 hour book just has like a common theme. And today's theme is journey. Why I didn't give up is because I kind of bit off different pieces of it at a time. So the journal entry that I shared was me saying, Pepe your talk as I know it is dead.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that I've come this far, and I have to be honest, but I've been thinking that already. So that was me admitting it to myself on paper. I remember I was sitting opposite my friend and she didn't even know what I was writing in my diary that day.
Wow.
I acted like I was normal. Like, she didn't even quit my business that day. She had no idea. Like, we rode in the day, we rode back home together, whatever. But it's because in my brain, I had been seeing all the things that were not happening for me and realizing that I know I'm meant to be successful. I know I'm a very optimistic person. You cannot keep me down for too long.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a comeback kid. Like, no matter what happens, I'm gonna bounce back. Like, it's just my identity. Like, I don't really know where it comes from, but I'm just blessed with that, and I don't want to lose it, God. So let's keep that. But so I had been coming to the realization that it was dying slowly. So it wasn't like it just hit me at once.
Yeah.
Which also helped me come to the realization that it could become something else. There's actually other things that I would rather be doing. I'm looking at other people and, like, I love what she's doing. I love what he's doing in their career. I can add a bit of that. What's stopping me from that? It's fear. It's this. So I was kind of breaking down the business and building myself up to be somebody else at the same time. Having conversations to learn about what would it take for me to, like, do something similar but different and make it more successful than what I'd done previously. And then also looking at myself and saying, like, what needs to change about you to create 2.0, but make it better. So and I went on this, like, fear-free journey, realizing that fear had held me back so much. Even though I'm a brave person, I do scary stuff. There was still so much fear woven into every decision I had made. So I had a fear-free fear, and I challenged myself so much in so many ways to build my.
I love that. And I think that's the hardest part, is sometimes not even announcing it to the world that I'm doing something new. It's really looking at yourself in the mirror and admitting to yourself that I need a 2.0. I need to start fresh and I need to start new. So I think that's so relatable. Something else I kind of wanted to ask about that. So moving to your journey to become a life coach. So what was that process like? So from the moment you decided this is what I want to do, what was kind of your first step of pivoting and starting that journey?
So I saw Grace is here. She's in my accountability group, so I coach her. Hi, Grace. And in the group, one of the first things we do is craft your future self-identity.
Yes.
We move. You literally have, I think, 4 weeks, and then we have a coaching session based on that identity. We confirm it, decide it, and then we move forward on building the belief to really cement it. And I had to do that. I had to almost create a new identity for myself and say, okay, you are a coach, you are a coach. So that started off with not necessarily doing anything, just kind of dropping into the identity, saying it, looking at what other coaches do, thinking about, okay, as a coach, what are the options, what are the possibilities, and really just owning that identity. And why I say that I didn't do anything specific is because I got my first client at that stage.
Wow.
Without telling anybody that I was taking on clients. I hosted an event with Tracy Ellis Ross, and on the stage, like, that was amazing. That was 20. The years are a blur. 2022.
Yeah.
As I'm interviewing her, people have not come to see Dior Bediako. They have come to see Tracy. Let's be real. I just mentioned I'm a life coach, so blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Somebody way at the back, even he's a man, even way at the back, messaged me after and said, like, I loved your interview and you mentioned you're a coach. I would love for you to coach me. I've had coaches in the past. I've had past, didn't work out, and it worked out so well with him. Like, I coached him for a while, and it just was like, and now we're really good friends actually. So I didn't do anything. I just dropped into the identity and I said, that's who I am, you know, without having done anything. And I feel like that's why it's so important to have an identity you want to embody and not feeling like you have to do things. Like, unless I have this achievement, unless I have this certificate, I have this, I'm not that. I didn't have anything. I just had the courage to say, I'm a coach. Yeah.
I think that is so powerful because we started the conversation saying, how did you get to that place to call yourself a life coach? And that's amazing trajectory to say the moment you said it, the first time you said it in a public space, you got a client. That's incredible. That's so amazing. And so from that moment, you got your first clients. How was that? Because you had just started calling yourself a life coach. So did you kind of feel intimidated? Like, how can I coach this person? I'm just starting. How was that experience?
Honestly, good question. It was definitely intimidating. And I don't want anybody to get it confused that, like, when the opportunity comes, it's going to feel aligned and it's going to feel, I was ready. I was like, okay, let's do this. But I was also very scared. And I don't know if I want to call it intimidated, but there was a lot of negative feeling alongside the positive feelings as well, which is normal. It's how it's supposed to be. You know, like, I'm a Christian, and a lot of us Christians were like, if it doesn't come with peace, it's not right for you. And I'm like, no, okay. Not everything that's right for you comes with peace. It brings up, like, it really brings up some negative emotion for you that you have to check and figure out why it's there. My client, to put it in context, was a man. Men typically don't get coached. Out of all my clients I currently have, I have one male client.
Yeah.
He was younger than me. Was he younger than me? Yeah, he's younger than me as well. And successful business owner, multimillionaire. So I was just okay, but like, that was a lot. So there was just so many different dynamics that could potentially be at play within that. I didn't want to judge him or anything. We had a consult, we had emails back and forth to figure out how this would work and how he wanted coaching to go, how I wanted coaching to go, coming to a middle ground, because I was a baby, well, I don't want to say baby coach, but I was brand new.
Yeah.
Calling myself a coach and doing it. I've been doing it with my fashion people already, because I was always coaching, just not calling myself a coach. Right. So then I had some terms and not let somebody come in and kind of say, I want it like this, I want it. And I'm just like, no, okay, I have a way of coaching as well. So I also want us to have our sessions like this, this, and this. So yeah, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It was easy to coach him. I never struggled in a session, but mentally, to go back saying, am I ready? Am I there? Was that a good session? Was that it? But it was always great.
Yeah. And that's something, so I want to touch on my experience working with you, because like you said, I don't think I fully understood, like, what is this life coach going to do? What is it going to look like? Because it's so varied and every coach is so different. Every experience is so personal. So I think when I reached out, I still remember our first session, I wrote about this. It was a hard first session, right? Because all of that, where we think because God ordained you to do this thing, or you have this great idea, it's going to be so easy and there's going to be no stress. In our first session, I came in, I'm like, Dior, you're like, what is your idea? And I think I was probably sitting like this, and my voice was really low because I hadn't done this thing in 4 years. And so I'm like, I have this idea, and why do you want to do it? Tell me more about it. And I was just so, I think, defeated. And so I think I could even see the trajectory of working with you and the growth in that. But one of the biggest things I think we worked on that really helped me was the model, something you call the model around the circumstance is always neutral, and the thought and impacts the action. So I want you to kind of talk about that and how you use that model to really get people through different scenarios. So we can take for example, like I wanted to do an event, and one that came up a lot, no one was coming, no one was buying tickets. And so let's walk through like how you talk me through that model.
Yes. So for context, the model, when I studied with Brooke Castillo, and I think when I was coaching you, I don't even think I had even taken Brooke's
Mm,
course. No, I hadn't. But I had been learning her material for years through her podcast and webinars and all that type of stuff. Brooke created the model, which is like a 5-piece kind of easy step process, but it's based on ancient history. It's based on, let's be real, the Bible. All of this stuff is in the Bible. It's based on like James Allen As a Man Thinketh. It's based on how we're actually programmed as human beings, but she just simplified it. And the model is that basically your thoughts create all of the results you have in your life.
yeah.
And a lot of us don't realize this. We think our circumstance is the reason why we have or don't have whatever we want in life, right? So for example, I'll just use you for an example.
Yeah.
You hadn't run an event in a couple of years, and there was a bit of fear there because you were like, oh, but if I put out tickets, will people come? Let's say that, right?
Yeah.
The circumstance is hosting an event in a few months, for example, putting out 50 tickets, let's be very specific, for a 1-hour talk. Cool. The circumstance is very neutral.
Right.
Tickets, 1 hour. Very neutral, very simple, very factual. Then when you bring your human brain into it and start thinking thoughts about the very factual circumstance, that is what causes you to feel nervous or causes you to feel excited. In your case, let's say there was fear, and you were thinking that the fear, so we're on part 3 of the model now.
Yeah.
So circumstance, thought, feeling. So you were thinking that the fear was coming from hosting an event, 50 tickets, 1-hour talk, without realizing that somebody else could look at that circumstance and say, easy peasy, done it once before, I'll do it again, not a problem. But you chose to think no one's going to come.
Yeah.
And because choosing to think nobody's going to come, you were feeling fear. And when you feel fear, remember, a negative thought is never going to produce a negative result. So when you feel fear, you then take action. So that's part 4 of the model A, the A line. You take actions that are in line with fear. So maybe you put tickets out, but you don't promote it in a way you would if you were confident, right?
Yeah.
Or you do start planning for the event, but maybe you don't go out and speak to as many people as possible. You just take fearful actions or inaction before you do anything, which is what most people. And then the result is I ensure that the tickets don't sell. I ensure that I don't sell as many tickets as possible, or I prevent myself from selling as many tickets as possible. And that's something you created. So there's always an I in the part 5. So C, circumstance, T, thought, F, feeling, A, action, R, result. And we're at the result. And the result always is I. You have to own the results you've created. The result is from your thought. It's not coming from the circumstances, coming from your thought. You could choose to change your thoughts and change your results. And it was that simple. Yeah. And in this scenario, it's really easy for us to grasp it. It's really, really easy. But in life, we forget that circumstances are neutral. And we revert back quickly to blaming circumstances. Yes. Because we're like, no, but this happened. And I'm like, and so what? so what if that happened? Not to be insensitive, but okay.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be bugging out if that happened to me, which
Yeah.
shows that it's happening. And there's just so much we could speak about. But the reason why I enjoy blaming our circumstances is because our thoughts happen so quickly or so frequently that they're now beliefs, and we can't separate them from ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't recognize that this is something I'm choosing to think. We just think, no, this is like true.
Yeah.
People don't buy. Like I hear it all the time. People be like, my event's not going to sell out because like it's a customer crisis and people don't buy tickets. Like it's true. I'm like, it's true for who?
Right.
Like I get that fact, but like, what's that got to do with this? You know, cost of living crisis. How does that relate? So there's just so many things at play. But
so many. Yeah, and like it seems so simple, but honestly, dude, I think I said this to you once. You gave me that. It's so powerful. I use it every single day. Like it could even be as simple as you feel like your friend isn't calling you enough, and then the thought you make up is she hates me, she's pissed off, and then because of that, you don't reach out.
Yeah, let me give you this example. So I coached someone like an event in November. She was really brave. She stood up and she was just like, I'm trying to remember the exact circumstance, but she said something like she doesn't get close to people. I'm like, okay, cool. Give me the last scenario. I don't trust people. Like people aren't trustworthy. Something like that. I was like, okay, when's the last time this happened? Like, she said, oh, I had a big blow up with somebody and they weren't there for me or something like that. And I was like, okay, like, tell me exactly what happened. What's the circumstance? So she's like, okay, I was on the phone and the person said this and I said this. So, okay, cool. So they said and you said, and then what did you think? And she said, it was something like, nobody understands me. I said, okay. And when you thought nobody understands me, how did you feel? She was like, I felt upset, let's say. And when you felt upset, what did you do? She's like, I went to my room, I played slow jams, I didn't answer my phone, I ate my comfort foods, I didn't message anybody, and I was like, okay, so the result is that you ensured that nobody could be there for you.
Right.
You created that. You literally didn't call anyone, didn't pick up your phone, played the slow jam so you'll be even sadder. And I was like, why are you choosing to believe that nobody wants to be there for you?
Yeah.
And she was just like, because I don't want to be vulnerable. That's got nothing to do with anybody else. So once she recognized that actually people might want to be there for her, but she locks herself away because in order for people to be there for her, she has to drop into this really, what do I want to call the emotion? Unsafe emotion for her, which is vulnerability.
Vulnerability, I was going to say vulnerability, yeah.
Because she's not willing to feel vulnerable. She also loses out on all the opportunities she potentially had for people to be there for her. So it's always us, you know?
Yeah, always. And I love that. And if anyone has a circumstance that they want Dior to coach them through on the call, you can put in the Q&A. And if we have time, we can talk through it. So, and I think another thing, like for me, and people always ask me, you know, why did you get coaching? How did you know you needed coaching? You're so incredible. You're a high achiever. You just do things. Like, why would you invest that money to get coaching? And I say, for me, like my mind is a war zone. There's so much going on in there. There's just, and you know, what's that thing that people say, you know, you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. Year after year will come and I'll say, I would do this thing. I won't do it. I'll just be on my own, listening to podcasts, reading self-help books. Nothing was working. Nothing was working. And I think reaching out to you, it just, I think, and I said this, it was just like a mirror. And I said this in my very first session, just having someone to say, you don't even believe that, or where is that thought coming from? Or why would you even think that? You almost sound ridiculous when someone else, you know, says out loud back to you the way that you're seeing yourself. It really just makes you say like, wait a second. That's ridiculous for me to say that about myself. So in your experience, when people come to you for coaching, how do people typically know when they need coaching, or when do you feel like people should sign up for coaching? Like, what do you typically see as a trend?
I think everybody needs coaching.
Yeah.
I don't think a whole person, me included, like everybody needs coaching, because if you are committed to this journey of self-growth, if you are truly trying to taste, touch, feel your potential and push yourself beyond what you've already done and step into like an identity that you have no proof of, but you believe you can achieve it, you definitely need somebody to help you manage your mind on that process. Because the way our mind is wired is that it looks for evidence. It looks for facts. It wants to be right. So the second a negative thought drops into your mind, it's looking for evidence for it. And that can take you off course so much. How many times have we been there where we're like pumped up, ready to go? Yes, this is going to be sick. I'm going to do this. Then it's like, that's not going to work.
Yep.
Or it could be something as simple as tickets aren't going to sell out. No one's going to turn up. It's not going to be good. Then your brain starts saying, now I need to make this even more true.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts looking for the evidence. Oh, but when you did that thing, that didn't work. Oh, but when somebody spoke to you there and look at how that person's doing it, you couldn't do it. You don't have that skill. You don't have that technical ability. You haven't been doing it with them. And then you start looking for all the evidence, and then the evidence makes it true. And then boom, before you know it, you're going downhill.
Yeah.
So a coach is going to just, and which is why I insist on weekly sessions, insist on it, so that there is no time for you to like be in bed for 5 days, 7 days, to be like, I haven't done anything. I'm like, huh? Let's get to work. And if you are going to stay in bed for 5 days, let it be an empowered choice. Let's choose that, you know, and own it. And just, right? But let's not let life kind of take us down negative paths that we didn't choose for ourselves. At least choose it and own it and say, yes. Like one of my clients, she's a bit, what's the word I would use for her? She's a bit like, she likes to bite back a bit. She likes to be not rude. She's not rude, but I don't want to call it, but anyway, she's a bit, give it there.
Yeah.
I'm like, why did you respond like that? Well, you know, like, I wanted to say it. I'm like, you like being like that? She's like, yeah, so cool, it's fine. That's how you, I'm not gonna make me. I want you to love and enjoy being you. So if you want to be a bit like sassy when you could really choose a different response, but you're choosing that one, you enjoy being like that, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, but now she knows, and she's like, Dio, I love that you've just given me permission to do that. I'm like, yeah, like if you're telling me that's who you want to be, I just want you to be conscious that that's what your preferences are. And do you enjoy being that type of person? Is it serving you? If it is, cool. So that's why in coaching, we need awareness. We need to manage our mind. It's so nice to be held, to know that we have somebody that everyone can come to, and they're there for us. And not there our friends are, where you need them to be on your side. My clients know that I'm not necessarily going to be on their side. I am on the side of growth. So I want you
that's a fact, Dior. I'm like, Dior, just be on my side.
No, I'm team growth. So if giving you a bit of friction or being a bit blunt or harsh is going to help you grow, then let's grow. That's why you're paying me. Let's be real. It's not a friendship where it's free. You're paying most of the money you're spending. So everybody needs a coach. Manage your mind, have more awareness of who you are, decide if you want to be the person you are. And we always want to change as well. Like as I've entered this new year, I'm like, oh, I want to work on this, this, and this. I know I can't do it by myself. I don't have, in fact, it's not that I can't do it by myself. I don't even have to.
Yeah.
Don't even have to. I want someone to help me. So
yes, I agree. And then to that, what would you say is the difference between, because a lot of people, I feel like, especially after the pandemic, have therapy, go to therapy. So what would you say is the difference between having a therapist and having a life coach? Do you need both? Do you prioritize one or the other? What's your opinion on that?
Most of my clients have a therapist as well.
Yeah.
Which proves to me that the work is very different. The work is very different, and both are needed. I could never claim to be a therapist. Like the training and all of what they have to go through to have that qualification is very different to coaching. Coaching is equally incredible though. Like just because we don't have formal training, it's so powerful, but it's unregulated. You don't need to have qualifications to be a coach. I chose to because I want to be the best. I'm like, let me go learn from the best. But the main difference is therapy helps you heal your past. It helps you go backwards. It helps you really get into cleaning up the mess of what's already happened that maybe you didn't even choose for yourself, versus coaching, where we are about who do you want to be? Where are you trying to go? Let's accelerate that journey and get you from now to your future. So it's always forward looking. I don't even necessarily need to know people's traumas. can have a session where somebody can be like, this thing happened to me and I don't even really need to know the thing.
Yeah.
All you need to know and work on is how is that thing, whatever it is, still affecting you today? Because it's not happening today.
Right.
It could have been 20 years ago, but there's an effect today. And that effect, again, is a choice, which is hard for people to swallow, but you're choosing for it to have an effect on you based on how you're choosing to still think about that situation.
Yeah.
Then I can help you with that. How do we change your thoughts today to help what that happened 20 years ago not affect you in the same way?
Yeah.
It's always forward looking.
Yeah, I love that. And then, so even when people are looking for therapists, you always hear you have to try different therapists, you shop around, Psychology Today, there's so many different resources. If someone is looking to work with you or any coaching, how do you feel like people should screen a coach? Because like you said, almost anyone can be a coach. Anyone can get on Instagram and say that they're a coach. So how can you kind of differentiate of someone that's really going to have a positive impact on your life versus someone that might just be wanting to make a quick buck?
I've never thought of that before. I think I can tell you what a good coach is.
Yes.
And a good coach is somebody who is neutral in that they're not trying to be your friend. They're not trying to please you. They're not trying to get you to like them. They're not trying to make you laugh or smile or cry or anything. They don't need anything from you. Once you've, of course, signed a contract, exchanged money, they don't need anything from you apart from for you to show up to the session. That's it. So they're not looking for you to tell them, oh my God, that was amazing, or please them, or they're just there to really support you. A good coach has no agenda. No agenda. They do not need you to make them feel good. Okay. So and what I mean by that is, like, as a coach, we can drop into this. Was that a good session? Was that which is normal for humans? We're still humans. But it's not about me. It's about, did I show up for my client? Did I hold neutral space? Was I super loving? Did I give them what they needed versus what was comfortable for even me as a coach? So you'll recognize that, like, somebody who's not trying to over please you and is like, listen, you wanted to do this thing, let's get you there. Or you said be like this, or you want to let's get you there. And they always bring it back to why you're there and not what makes them look good. Or can we do this? Because no, like, they're there for you. You don't want to feel judged by your coach as well. You want to feel like you can say anything and your coach is going to be like, okay, unfazed, unbothered. I've had clients tell me things and, like, I know this is bad, and they tell me and I'm like, why did you think that was going to be bad? Like, you don't know what I hear. Like, you don't know what I've been. Because I really, really, like, for me, my diary is like and prayer is like my super, super safe space. But to find a human being where you can feel like you can say anything and they're gonna be, so, like, what do you want to do about it? Do you want us to speak about this more? Do you want to work on it? You just want to tell me so I had the information? Because we could just ignore it. Like, that's fine as well. So that's the main thing. And somebody who, what would I say is like the third thing? Somebody who you want to be on the journey with you. Somebody who every week you want to share with them, like, this is what's happened. And somebody who you're excited to bring, okay, I have this to be coached on this week, or I have this. You know that you guys are kind of going to get in that war room together and really work it through. So you're excited to bring them even negative stuff, even if you didn't do what your coach advised you to do, or within the session you said, okay, we're going to do this. Within the next week, you're going to have done this. You're still excited to bring them what you didn't do because you know they're going to help you through that. So.
Yes, that's so real. Because I remember I had so many sessions. I would say, Dior, say, did you do this thing? And I'll come the next week. No, Dior, I didn't do it. Why haven't you done it? And you would just coach me through, okay, what was the circumstance? What were your thoughts around it? And then because you were thinking this is what you did. Well, you didn't do anything because you were thinking this. And so that's such a great explanation, I think, where it almost feels like a safe space where even if you might have dropped the ball on something you said you were going to do, you still feel like the person has your back and is going to coach you through maybe why you dropped the ball versus, well, you dropped the ball, you're horrible, you should do better kind of thing. It was just always a safe space. So I think that's such a great explanation. Yeah. If anyone has any questions, go ahead, Dior.
Quick point, because I read your newsletter about the coaching sessions, and what I found so fascinating, and typically happens with clients as well, is that we strictly coached on mainly a few, just like business and stuff like that. But in your seen that you said you were able to walk away from a relationship that just wasn't serving you. We had never spoken about that.
Never. Yeah.
Never. And I thought that was so powerful in that when you're empowered in one area of your life, it trickles into other areas. And it,
100%.
yeah, identity, you have this new identity that you are leaning into, really embodying, making your decisions based on that identity. And it just helps you stay strong in so many other areas. And that is for me, like, okay, that's some good coaching, because like holistically, there's been an improvement. It's not just like one tunnel vision area.
One area.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so true. And I think writing that newsletter was the first time I had actually sat down to really like reflect on my time with you and my past year. And then I even had to say, look at all of these incredible threads where, you think that they're just isolated moments and you just made easy decisions. But when you really sit down and say, me a year ago would never have done this. I never would have applied for that job. I was probably still be in that relationship or still be stringing it along but because I have these tools of my future self and the model and all of those things that we talked about, I literally use it in every scenario of my life. So to your point, even though I came to you about AfroKlash and I needed coaching about this thing, every area of my life, my relationships, my friendship, my job, the way that I show up was positively impacted, and my level of confidence. I said in the news, imposter syndrome, where, that was, I have imposter syndrome. We all talk about imposter syndrome. I just don't have it because, and I think, I know we touched on it a little bit around your future self, where you really have to think about the person that you think you're going to be in 10 years. And if you start showing up as that person now, everything truly is so much easier. If you think that, oh, I'm having a 50-person event and no one's going to come, but in 10 years, I've thrown an event for 100,000 people, 10,000 people. So what's 50? Let me just do it. So it was such a powerful thing where I tell people it's not even that. Of course, we only met for 3 months, but the tools you get in those 3 months help you for the rest of your life. Like, you take it for the rest of your life. And I think that was what was most beneficial for me, for sure. Yeah. All right. Any questions? If you have a question and you want to come off mute and speak to Dior or come off camera, just raise your hand and we'll take you off mute so you can ask your question live, or you can just pop it into the Q&A chat if anyone has any questions for Dior. If you want coaching on something, if you have an idea that you've been sitting on, you want some quick coaching right now, we can do that as well.
I'm looking at the chat box.
Yeah, lots of excitement.
Yeah, therapy and coaching overlap. Some of my clients are like, oh, I'm going to take that to my therapist. I'm like, yeah, cool.
Yes, and yes, this will be available on YouTube and on Spotify as well to listen back on.
Yeah, the self-fulfilling prophecy is so true. Once you realize how powerful you are and that you are the one taking ownership, taking radical responsibility in almost every area, and just saying, can I have more power in this situation if I choose to? Most times it's yes. And it may not be in the way that you think, it could be in a different way. So yeah, we are the makers of our results.
Yes. Oh, Danielle, I see your hand raised, so I'm going to bring you up so you can see.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Hi, this has been really, really interesting. So thank you. And I know I joined a bit late, so sorry if this question is sort of an overlap. But you just talked a little bit about how you quite literally don't have imposter syndrome anymore, and that's really fascinating to me. So I guess my question is around, like, I have a job, but I'm gonna start job searching again. And I think the idea of starting all over again and entering a place and trying to convince myself I belong there, even trying to convince myself I belong in a certain job or I should apply for a job, is already overwhelming. So I was just wondering if there's any thoughts or any of the advice that maybe you got, or maybe you can as well, your that you think would help push past through that sort of imposter syndrome feeling.
Oh, that's perfect. So if anyone that's subscribed, I had this exact scenario, Danielle. So this is perfect, where I'm working a job. I'm a project manager, and I've been in that job for three years now. I've been talking to my manager literally since 2021. I love my company. I want to grow. So the role I wanted to do was a VP position. They've never, ever in the history of the company, which is almost 15 years, ever hired anyone internally. Hundreds of people have applied. They've never accepted anyone internally. No Black woman has ever been in the role. So I've been telling my boss, I want to do it. I would talk to the senior vice president in the role, and she would say to me, you know, I think you could do it, Basala, but you know, you need these more skills. So I just had that imposter syndrome that I didn't even apply, right? Same thing as Dior was saying. The circumstance was, I want this job, but my thought was I wasn't good enough. I just didn't apply, right? And so, but this year, again, if you're thinking of it, I think in the future stuff is so powerful. If you can Google, there's so much resources on it. If I'm thinking that this is only step 2 in my career, in 10 years, I'm going to be the CEO of a $1 million company, whatever your vision is for yourself. What is applying for one VP position? It's nothing to apply, right? It's nothing to apply. So of course I still, and I'm not going to say I'm 100% cured of imposter syndrome, right? Because life will get you and it will come up in the future. But I think for me, there's no room that I feel like I desire to be in that I can't be in. I'm just going to put myself in the space. I'm going to go out for it. So I applied and I got the job. So I think really preparing for it, I think what really helped me was, again, just visualizing, why do you want the role? First of all, why do you want to be in that new position? Is it going to be a fit for me? Because even going through the interview process, I didn't have, and they always say, thank you, Labs, I didn't have 100% of the qualifications for that job. And so in every interview, they would, from the HR person to the senior person I was going to be reporting to my coworkers that we're going to be working with, every interview, they literally said to me, you don't have all the qualifications for this position. Why are you applying? And I remember, but after the second interview with like the senior vice president of the company, and she said, you sold me. I came into this interview because I like you. If I didn't know you, I wouldn't have even interviewed you. Like, that was how much I wasn't a fit for the position. I wouldn't have even interviewed you, but because I like you, I wanted to just speak to you about it. But by the end of the conversation, because I just went in with confidence, and you have to have a self-belief. And so I think what might help is maybe before the interview, just stand in front of the mirror, look at yourself and something I worked on with Dior, actually, she like every negative thought you have, rewrite it as a positive. So say you're going out for that position, I don't qualify. The positive, I do qualify because X, Y, and Z. So I had like so many talks with myself beforehand. So by the time I finished that interview, she literally said to me, you've kind of sold me on you, and because I came to this just trying to be nice, but by the end of the interview and several other interviews, I kind of sold them on it because of my confidence. And I said this in the newsletter. I don't even think my resume or my skills got me the job. It was my confidence. That's really what it is. You have to have audacity because this is your one life. You have to take charge of it. So if there's something you really want to do, put yourself out there. What's the worst that can happen, right? It's going to be, they'll say you're not a good fit, but they'll give you feedback. This is what you need to do next time. So hope that helped. I know that was a long answer, but I hope that was helpful.
That was brilliant. Well, it wasn't for me, but you answered it amazing. But Danielle, I'd love to add that.
Yes.
When people say they have imposter syndrome, sometimes it comes down to what you believe about the position and the people and who deserves it, and then what you believe about yourself. But most times we don't know what we believe about ourselves. We think we do, but we don't know. So you really, really, really need to spend some time understanding, what do I believe to be true about me? Because there's something within that that's negative or that doesn't align with that position. So it's like, for me, when I was working at Burberry, I just believed that I wasn't from the right background. All these people are super posh, like they've all gone to the same kind of schools and this and that. I'm just not like them. I'm just not, all the people in the PR department, I'm not like them, I'm not like them, which was I was othering myself. Some people doing it, but I was doing it myself. And I had to really sit back and be like, okay, so that's a fact about my life. But why am I choosing to like frame it as a disadvantage? Why am I doing that? Why am I thinking that it's a negative thing? It might be, but why am I choosing to still believe that? Like, can I change it? Can I make it work for me? So I think with imposter syndrome, a lot of times it's like aimed at women and it's like, oh, but you're always going to feel it, which might be true. But I think the better way to handle it is to understand yourself. Am I telling myself about me every day? And sometimes you might even be like, but I know I'm a high achiever. I know I can do this. I coached someone on this just yesterday, where super high achiever, achieved amazing things, but then they had an injury which prevented them from being able to go into the Olympics and all this other stuff. So they still have the high achiever identity, but they still have this like, I'm a failure identity. And the two are just clashing every day. So she's pushing herself so much to to try and get to like Olympic level again, but still telling herself that, but I've got this injury and it's never going to happen. Every day. So every day it's just this. Every day she's up. I'm a high achiever. I can do it. No, you can't. No, and just every day, every second of every day. And she doesn't realize that she's literally, imagine just punching yourself all day. You're just punching yourself, punching yourself, punching yourself, and you don't even know you're doing it. This is just a pain I've always felt. So what you tell yourself, it's just how I've always been. Get to know what is in your brain about yourself. Decide whether you like it or whether you don't like it. Decide whether it's serving you, whether it's not serving you, and then make a decision on what you want to do about it.
Yeah, that's so good. Hope that was helpful, Danielle. Yeah, if you're saying something, you're on mute, but I think we helped. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Kalani, I see your hand raised, so let me take you off mute.
Hi, can you guys hear me? Okay, yes.
Yes.
No, this has been really good. I'm glad I'm here, and I threw it in the Q&A, but we'll ask live. How do you balance pursuing, your more creative passions and things that maybe becomes your life later on, but right now it may just be something you're trying to learn more, step into, with also balancing your day job? Like, you're not ready to take the full leap into being an entrepreneur, but you still do want to be headed in that track. Like, how do you advise your clients that are trying to strike that balance?
Yeah, sometimes it's not even a mindset thing. Sometimes it's like a scheduling thing. So like, I don't know if Grace is still here, but she's in my group. And on last Monday in a session, we spoke about the top 3 things that had held us back. So for you, let's say it's scheduling or it's managing your time. And then we've got our future selves to tell us how we overcame it. So like, literally, let's not even mess about like, okay, I don't manage my time properly, or I come in the evenings and I don't do what I need to do in my creative pursuits, or I don't prioritize the mornings for it. And then the future self was like, okay, how you overcome this, because I'm in the future, so you've overcome it. And how you did it was that you created a solid routine. And this routine was a non-negotiable. And in making it a non-negotiable, you literally took this out of your routine and you replaced it with this. And just tell yourself how you're going to do it. Because with balancing creative pursuits, it's just it's a time thing. You probably believe you can do it. You might not be taking enough action towards it, which means that, okay, how do I take action? I need time, I need space, I need my mind to be free. Which one is like the lowest dip? Is it the scheduling? Is it the mindset? Which one? Okay, do I need to work on the mindset? But typically it's the scheduling. We love to chill. We love it. We love it, and brain loves for us to chill as well. So it's so good in that it will help us forget our goals. It will help us forget what we're supposed to do. It will literally push it to the back and just be like, just relax. It's okay. Like, you've exerted so much energy today, friend. Like, just chill. So you need to override that, and a good way to override it is with your future self. Like, let her be in the room and allow her to look at you and be like, get up and do your work. I always tell myself, like, I will always be soft on myself. Always treat myself so lovingly, but I'm going to do hard things.
Yeah.
And that soft and hard is always going to be there. I'm going to be so kind, so loving to Dior, but I'm going to do the hard stuff as well, So don't have to beat yourself up about it. Just be like, talk it up. Come on. You can do this. Get at that table. 2 hours and just get that work done. So would you say scheduling is your issue, or do you think it's something else?
I think it's probably at the nexus of both, right? So time management and scheduling, which I feel like if you schedule it, you can manage your time better. And so I think that's like a big part of it, just actually committing to, like, because during a week it's a no-go, but like, I guess on a weekend, to your point, like 2-3 hours can make a huge difference.
Yeah, it makes a major difference. And what we did, like, I did a self-growth challenge last year, and we literally pulled up the calendar for the next 3 months, and we said, put everything in your diary right now. Everyone's birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, when you need to get your hair done, your lashes done, when you need to change your sheets, when you need to all of that, and look at how much time you have left, because a lot of us don't actually know how much time we have. We're just like, oh, I'll do it on the weekend. The weekend, you need to quickly run to the post office, you need to do this, you need to tidy up, you need to sweep, and there's actually maybe 30 minutes truly realistically left to work on your creative pursuits. But we don't know that because we haven't actually planned. So I would say pull out Q1 of 2024, this beautiful year that we're in. A physical diary in front of you, write everything you need to do, and then look at what time is left and say, okay, is this enough? Do I need to take some stuff off? And just get super like granular and realistic about it.
Yeah. And I'll quickly add to that, Dior, as well, because something we talked about was the thing about creative pursuits when you have a 9 to 5 is no one is holding you to task, right? Your 9 to 5, you have a deliverable, your boss is saying this is due tomorrow. But if you have like a side hustle or creative something on the side, you are the sole person responsible. No one is going to say you haven't done it. No one is going to say it's due tomorrow. So you really have to, it's a mental thing where you really have to hold yourself accountable. So like Dior was saying, like I have a project plan. I have on my work calendar, I put stuff for AfroKlash on that calendar. So it's my life. It's not this thing on the side that I only do when it's part of my life, because if I don't, I can sit on the couch all Saturday long. No one's going to say a thing to me. If I say I don't want to do this for another year, no one's going to say, well, why didn't you? Or this is due or that is due. So you kind of have to prioritize it almost the way you would prioritize your full-time job if you're really passionate about it. Because I was the same before. I would just say, well, I'll just do it later. I'll do it on my free time. You have to hold it almost to the same level of importance if it's that important. So that's another thing I would add to that for sure. Hope that was helpful, Kalani.
It was. Thank you both so much.
Thank you. All right, we have 2 more questions in the Q&A. So Adora says, any advice for recent college graduates transitioning into full adulthood and balancing new relationships and romantic ones? I hear now about it's really important to identify your core values. What first steps would you advise? Thank you in advance. And she says she's Christian as well, Dior.
Yeah. I'm sounding like a broken record now, but future self, sit down, Adora, sit down and design your new identity as an adult. Just say, who am I as an adult? How do I spend my free time? How do I feel? What do I wear? What do I enjoy? What am I not doing anymore? What is a non-negotiable? Even you can like fine tune it down to, how does my house smell when I wake up? Like design this new life and then just live into it, because it is really your choice. Sometimes we forget that, like that this life, a lot of it is our choice. Some of it is not, but a lot of it is our choice. And if you have the luxury and the privilege of being able to choose wisely for yourself. Decide, define, design it for yourself. In terms of values are key. They govern all the decisions we make, how we choose to like rise to the occasion or, fall to certain expectations, whatever it is. Your values are really, really important. There is a website called, I think it's lifevalues.org. I can't remember that actual website. I'll send it over so that you can maybe give it to the attendees after. It's so thorough. It tells you what your top values are, the values you need to live into, that you should be living into, but you're not, the ones that you're over prioritizing. Is so good. I did it like 4 years ago. I recommend it to everyone. It takes a little while to fill it in, but it's so worth it. And then it just helps you make quicker decisions. Because for me, like my values are meaningful work. If something doesn't feel meaningful, I'm just like, I know that's not going to give me energy. It's not going to fuel me. Privacy is one of my values, which is not about being a private, but I spill all the beans. So it's not that, but having private time. And like, I just took myself on holiday by myself for a week, because I know that privacy, having space to just be alone, is so important, and I have to honor it. So I would say, once you figure out your values, live by it. Don't play about them, and find ways to live by it. Schedule it in. And you see, I'm big on scheduling. So like, if your value is like family time, plan every Sunday or every other Sunday. This is a fixed date. I'm going to spend time with these people, because that makes me feel fueled and feel like me. And then, of course, you added that you're a Christian, so I'm going to add prayer. Tell God to reveal how to do it, to order your steps, to go ahead of you every day. Pray about it. Make this your prayer point. Like, I am transitioning into adulthood. Please show me the adult you would like me to be. Reveal to me who you want me to be in this season. Yeah, and relationships are important. Balancing new relationships and romantic ones. Oh, I would recommend reading A Return to Love. A Return to Love, if you want to, because in that book, what it taught me was that there's no special relationship. I would always like prioritize romantic relationships as my special relationship. And that book just teaches you that there is no special relationship. Love is love. And actually platonic love can be equally as powerful. Or some people are more like, they prefer to like do more of their friends, and they're more guarded with a romantic partner, and they don't want to give their heart. And it teaches you to just be open, and how love is like about spiritual growth for both of you. So whether it's your parent, your siblings, your mom, your lover, your friends, you're even just in the world. It's all about feeding their spirit and them feeding your spirit, them feeding your growth and you feeding their growth. So even if certain relationships don't last forever, even if it helped you grow, they've done their job. Let it go, release it, be free. So, and then it helps you create like a barometer for whether something's right. Are we helping each other grow? And are you helping that person grow? That's an interesting one. Am I being a good person that helps somebody else grow, or am I just being a pain? You know, do I That's a really good book. I Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. That book had me crying on the train one time, like from one sentence. And the sentence was, you are loved and you are lovable. So simple, but I didn't know. You know, like I didn't know. I didn't know that I was 100% lovable. And I'm also capable of giving 100% love as well. Like I'm designed to do that. That's my job as a human being. I was like, oh my God, this is so good. So yeah, I'm going to move on to Courtney's question because I'll ramble on forever. So Courtney said, advice or tips would you offer to someone who would like to be a life coach in the next year or so? Oh my God, I found my people. I would say, what's the first thing? Because there's so much advice I could give you. Actually, there's so much advice I could give you. I would love for you to get on the mic if you're comfortable with that.
Courtney, if you're comfortable, can you want to raise your hand if you're okay to come off mute? Yes, okay. No. But...
If you don't want to as well, that's totally fine. Oh, she's coming. She's coming.
Yeah. Hi, Courtney.
Hi.
Hello. Do you know what kind of life coach you want to be?
I am not for sure. I feel like I want to be a generalist in a way. So yes, that's where I am right now.
No, that's fine. Because a lot of people get like hung up on their niche, and I'm like, until I have a niche, until I know my people, until I blah, 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 blah. So I'm glad you're okay with not knowing. But I just wanted to check first. So don't let your niche like keep you stuck and feel like I need women between 25 and 35 who are transitioning into their careers, and just coach. And a piece of advice I would give you is decide whether you're going to do paid sessions to start with or free sessions. You can from the get-go. Don't feel like you need to get in this space where you have to do free coaching. You don't have to, you know, pick a price point you're comfortable with, that your audience is comfortable with. Pick and have an idea of the results you can get people. And it doesn't have to be like, I'm going to get you a new job, or I'm going to give you it doesn't have to be as tangible as that. Intangible results are just as powerful. So you can say something like, I'm going to help you enjoy your life, or I'm going to help you be more confident, or I'm going to help you just like show up in the world in a better way, which feels airy fairy, but it's not. Because think about your own life. When you feel like you can navigate this world more confidently, how does that make you feel? Amazing. And if you can help somebody get there, that's amazing. Or I'm going to help you wake up and just be happy, you know, like actually be happy. And there's no way to measure that, but it's a real result that you can get people. So don't worry about if your results are like not tangible enough. That's fine. Your people who understand what that means will get you. Then I would say master marketing. Having the coaching skill is one thing. Being able to tell people that you coach and be able to reach new audiences is very important. In the beginning, you can coach family, you can coach friends, you can coach people around you just to build up that skill, whether it's free or whether it's paid, completely up to you. But then remember that there's a coaching skill and then there's a business skill. And you can't have a coaching business without the marketing side, the business side. So you have to learn that as well. So that's what I would say to kind of keep it fairly simple.
Thank you. That's awesome and amazing. And it really opens my mind because I'm someone who's very like outcome driven. And so the idea of something can be intangible, you know, it doesn't have to be measurable. I feel like that's super freeing. So thank you so much, Dior.
Welcome. And because you're your own business, you can create a, what would I call it, barometer to make the intangible tangible. So like I help people with self-growth. What's growth, right? I can actually create a chart and say, this is what growth looks like in my world. So with me, you're going to get this. And I've made it tangible. So have fun. That's the most important thing. Have fun, create your own systems and tools of way of working, especially in an industry that's unregulated. It really means you can do what you want, but do it ethically. Have a lot of integrity in what you do as well. Keep your client first. And the number one like basis of coaching is love. If you cannot hold a loving space for somebody, you can't coach them. So read A Return to Love. It's going to help you with just open more room for love in your heart and in your life and offering it to your clients.
Yeah, that was amazing. And Dior, I know you you kind of shared earlier, I know we talked about it. You've done courses and programs. I don't know if Courtney might find that helpful. Maybe you can share any like programs or courses that kind of helped you to become better as a coach as well.
Absolutely. So I did a paid course, which was NLP, so neuro-linguistic programming, which taught me a whole bunch of tools, coaching tools. I'm definitely not going to use all of them, which is fine because I am my own coach. Like I choose how I want to coach my clients. I have my own business. And then I did the life coach schools where they teach you one main tool, which is the model. And then they teach you other tools to incorporate in sessions as well. The first course was like £1,000. The second course was £15,000. So it was a big jump in the cost. You actually don't need any of it, but I advise doing a course. I advise training up because why not? Like who doesn't want to be qualified? Like not to be able to say it, not to be able to, that makes you more worthy, but to learn and to be able to say, you know what, like I have this thing behind me. And then I would say, if you don't want to do any formal studying, which is fine, podcasts. I think it's called AfroKlash is a really good podcast as well. And then I listen to a lot of therapy podcasts. So Esther Perel's podcast, really good. I think it's called Where Should We Begin? And then there's another one. Let me just pull out my phone so I can tell you. There's another one called, but there's so many. Dear Therapists, really good. Hidden Brain is another really good podcast, which just tells you how like humans think and why we're apathetic to certain things or why we react in certain ways or like why persuasion works. It's a really good podcast. And there's one more I want to share with you. What is her name? Over It and On With It by Christine Hassler. Over It and On With It. It's another really good one. Christine is a coach. But the way she coaches is different to how I coach my clients as well. Everyone is different. And of course, the Life Coach School podcast, really good podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, between that.
So that's a lot of tools. You're good. Thank you. All right. So I know we're a little over time. So thank you all for hanging. But really quickly, I want you all to just throw some love for Dior in the chat. I know this has been good for me, even though I've worked with Dior, this has been good for me. So show her some love. And Barbara, I do see your question, so we'll get to it. But in case anyone has to drop, I want to ask you, Dior, how can people find you, work with you, reach out to you? Like, what's the best way for people to contact you if they want to follow up?
I just put my Instagram in the chat if anybody wants to follow me on Instagram. No, hold on. I didn't put it in the chat. I sent it just to us.
Oh yeah.
I'm opening up a cohort for my accountability within the next like month. So if you want to join the accountability group, which is 6 months, you get one-to-one coaching, you get a course. It's for entrepreneurs, people who are building a business and want that support as they build, very early doors. And you want someone who's going to hold you accountable and coach you and have a community and have a course and have other resources, then join. But if you follow me on Instagram, you'll figure it all out. And my newsletter is like where all the fun happens.
Can I just really quickly, Dior's newsletter, if you don't do anything else, go to Dior's Instagram right now and subscribe to her newsletter. I promise you, every week, I think I messaged Dior. Do you know what's going on are you in my house, Dior? Are you in my, like, every newsletter is so personal. It's so funny, so well, it's just incredible. So if you don't do anything else, subscribe to her newsletter. It's so good.
I have the link like ready and available now. I'm going to try and get it up so I can put it in if anybody wants it. But yeah, I love writing my newsletter. I see it as like, it really needs to be a podcast, and it will be.
Yes.
And there's just so I've written like 150 or something. There's just so much content I could create just off the back of that newsletter alone.
Yes.
So yeah, more's gonna come from that. But thank you, because I appreciate that. You
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So really quickly, we'll get to Barbara's question. She said, I am trying to be a master in financial modeling and financial analysis. How am I able to do that? How am I able to do that in my day-to-day? I wrote it down and I'm trying to build it, but I face challenges from time to time. Apart from seeing yourself in the future, what else can I do?
Okay, so I'm trying to be a master in financial modeling and financial analysis. Cool. How do
I
I
think she was saying, how am I able to do that in my day-to-day?
Okay, I wrote it down. I'm trying to build it, but I face challenges apart from seeing. So what else can I do? What are the challenges? Like,
You want to come off mute, Barbara?
yeah, but I face challenges from time. Yeah, what are the challenges? You know, like, what is happening? What is holding you back? Sometimes we blow things out of proportion. I always say constrain, don't conflate. Like, let's really hold the issue. Like, hold the issue, pick it up. Let's name the issue, and then let's deal with this issue. You know, let's not make it like challenges. Let's say, okay, it's time management, or it's belief, or it's not having a support system, and then we can work on that specifically. So without knowing what your challenges are, I would say name them and then really break them down, because a big thing is every single big thing is only ever made up of small things. So you can break it down and start like dealing with it piece by piece. Day to day, plan your day. Like, I don't know if you do or you don't, but if you're trying to incorporate into your day to day, is that day planned? Is it properly planned? Is there purpose in the plan? Is that plan linked to the daily plan linked to a bigger 2-week plan, 6-week plan, quarterly plan, 5-year plan? Do you have a big goal you're trying to achieve so that your day to day makes sense and it's feeding into that, so that even when you don't feel like doing it, you still do it? Because without that day, you don't get the next day and the next day's progress. To be a master takes time as well. Even today, I was really thinking about time and how we as humans rush things. There's a quote that like, we overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in 10 years. And it's like, give yourself time to be a master. You said a master. A master is not 365-day pursuit. It's not. Yeah, you know. So even the words you're using, do they align with the belief and the grace you're giving yourself and the truth you're telling yourself, right? They say that it takes 10,000 hours to be a master. That's 10 years roughly. So like, are you trying to do it in 1 year or 10 years and call it mastery? So there's that. And then sometimes we have to shift our whole life to just like be aligned with a goal. And have you done that? Are you willing to do that? I remember when I created my accountability group in 2020/2021, I had to just be like, Dior, every other Monday is for these girls now. Every other Monday, 7 p.m. is for them. And that doesn't sound like a big deal. It's like, duh, of course it is. But I had to say, no, I'm sacrificing this time. And if anything gets in the way of that, I'm going to say no. It's an automatic no, because this group is so important to me. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, hope that helps.
Yeah, my battery.
Just know that answered your question, or if it didn't, if you need more. I know we could do this all day, but I think we've answered we could do this all day, but I think we've answered all the questions. Dior, honestly, thank you so much. I'm so glad that we have this space for all of these other people to kind of get to see what I saw working with you one-on-one. I'm so grateful for your time, for your insight, for all of the love that you've given me, that you've given this session. So really, really, really thank you so much for your time. I know it's late there. But if again, anyone's looking for Dior, you can find her on Instagram. I think she has a link tree that you can just find all of her links to sign up for anything. But I'll reach out again. This will be available on YouTube probably by the end of the week, the full recording, as well as just the audio on Spotify to listen back to if you're on your long drives, if you need some inspiration, a kick in the butt from Dior. You can always find it there. So thank you all so much for being here. Next month will be with Any Given Sunday for all things content. If you're trying to be a content creator, elevate your content on social media, all of that is coming next month. So all of the details will be on the AfroKlash Instagram. Again, thank you all so much for being here. I hope you all got all the things. I got all the things. So we really appreciate you. Have a great afternoon if you're in the US, evening if you're in the UK. Have a great week. Stay warm as well. Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate you. It's been an honor, a pleasure, and I've had the best time. So
Yes.
thank you so much. It was always going to be a yes for you. So
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you. All right. Bye, Dior.
see you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.